Tremendous movie.
Thank you.
This is a movie you don't watch as much as experience. And your performance, I can't even begin to imagine how emotionally draining your roles were in this movie.
Yeah.
And I was just curious, how do you keep your energy up between scenes?
I mean, I think that it's I mean, that's an interesting question because, of course, Gail, in a lot of the film, when she's really ill, she doesn't have a lot of energy.
Right.
But I think, she has still a lot of focus. And I think the beauties of the script, and is that even though Gail is a person who is suffering from a terminal illness and is in a lot of pain, and it's a very active thing. She's always, even when we're our weakest, there's always something we're trying to do, whether we're trying to, breathe, or we're trying to get a glass of water, or we're trying to get to the bathroom, or we're trying to tell the person that we love something that it's very important to us that they know before we lose the ability to tell them. And I think that, even when a character's energy is low, they still, even maybe more so, they focus it. You know what I mean? If you're well and healthy and have all the options in the world, you can do things in an offhand, half-hearted kind of a way. But when you only have this much energy and you need to do this much, the only way to do it is to focus it and just put everything you have into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's an appropriately devastating performance by you because it just looks so real, the suffering.
Good. That's good. That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah. And Chris, for you, I mean, especially at the beginning of the movie, the camera is so focused on your face, and so there are so many close-ups that sort of bring us into how isolated your world is. Mm-hmm. How did you go about acting in those scenes? Was it distracting to have the camera that close?
No, well, I mean, I feel like there's a certain mode that you go into just from the get-go of shooting a movie like this, especially with the limited time. You naturally kind of prep yourself like, all right, this is gonna be one of those. Every day you wake up, you shoot, you work, you go home, you go to bed, you wake up again, you work. You kind of just get into a weird mental state where this is the only thing that you're doing in your life right now. And that's kind of what it was, and it's kind of fun to kind of dive into that. And as far as the camera goes, I mean, the opening sequence of the movie is actually the first shot that we did of first day of filming, in the nightclub and then outside. And Momentous, our DP, kind of with that specific sequence, we were kind of doing this little dance with each other. Like he would kind of be grabbing my shirt, and if I was moving left, I would kind of tap him, or if I was moving the other way, I would tap him the other way, just because he didn't want to jump any of my movements. And it was a nice way to kind of get used to where the camera was going to be for the rest of the movie. And yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I also really love about this movie is that it never looks staged. It really feels like life is just unfolding right before our eyes. I mean, was there a lot of rehearsal involved, or did you just act spontaneously and from scene to scene?
It's not so spontaneous, really.
I mean, we would rehearse a little bit before each scene. We rehearse the scene a little bit before each scene. But I think Josh, and I with film too, I don't like rehearsing too much anyway. I kind of like letting things unfold. Might as well shoot it. Mm-hmm. kind of attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was, I do think the film looks very real and looks very believable, but it's not for it be like we're not improvising. Do you know what I mean? We were really sort of honing in on what the scene was and sort of being as close to the ground in terms of the reality of it. And I think what I almost called you Josh, and then I almost called you James. What Chris was saying before, in terms of how the camera was a player in the filming. Do you know what I mean? It was, when I hear Chris describe that, it's like he sounds like they're dancing together. And even the camera wasn't so close into me as it was to him. But even you really, sometimes you perform in front of a camera and you feel like the camera's over there somewhere observing you, right, recording what you're doing. And then sometimes you feel like the camera is right there with you and it's almost part of what you're doing.
It's an extension, kind of.
Yeah, it's an extension of you, and somehow it felt that way with our whole crew. Like there was such a sensitivity and such a sort of a breathing as one when we would film. It made it possible because you felt like it wasn't just you; it was a whole. Like the room was alive, and the room was alive with the scene that was happening.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense because everything felt alive in this movie, and you don't always get that feeling with films.
No.
Oh, well, congratulations
Thank
again.
you.
Tremendous work.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thank you. Thanks.